What is it about the Jewish text that you love so much?
First of all, it is mine. It's like asking, why do you like your grandmother? Maybe there are many other grandmothers that are very nice, but this is mine. So first of all, the Bible, the Mishnah, the Talmud, Hasidut, Kabbalah, and Hebrew literature, it's my heritage. And I see myself in it. And I understand where I come from, all the good things and also all the challenging things that we carry, you can see in the text. That's one thing. It is our heritage, our family. But also once you start reading, especially the Talmud, it is so rich, it's so funny, it's so profound and deep and relevant to my life that I feel I found a treasure that I just love studying every day, every morning. I start with studying Mishnah and Talmud, and it gives me a base for my life.
Do you think it's still relevant after so many years?
Yes, I do. I think that we are people of the book. We are people of reading again and again the canon, the classic text. And every time you read it, from the spiral of where you are now in your life, it has a meaning that is talking to you where you are just now. And so some of it is the joy of looking at what happened before and where we came from and our ancestors, and to just respect them and say, I'm proud to be the daughter of this ancestry. And some of it is Torah that feeds your challenges and life today. And so, yes, it is relevant. The relevancy is in the hands of the reader. So we need to read, to know it, and to think what it is telling us today.
Because it was revolutionary text in its time. Do you think it's still revolutionary?
I think we are very fortunate to be the daughters and sons of this particular people of the book, because the Talmud, for example, is revolutionary in the way that today you would say it is postmodern. It is many different pieces that are put together to like a mosaic of thought, of ideas, of short stories and ancient sayings, and sometimes just jokes and all kinds of things put together. I don't know of any piece of literature and such a big creation of literature that is any way like this. And so it makes us, the people that study the Talmud, like you go on a journey and you see so many different views all the time. Even if something is difficult for you, in a short, you turn a page and it changes to something else. And with time, you begin to know the people that are talking. This is Rabbi Yochanan, this is Resh Lakish, this is Rav, and this is Abaye. And like a series that you watch for many episodes, you know the characters and you are connected to them. So when they say something new, you say, oh, but yesterday and a year ago they said this. So it's also diving into a world of the rabbis of Babylon and Eretz Israel that I would be very happy to jump into and look inside. That's what I feel when I read the Talmud, like I'm jumping into this movie and I can take part, although I'm not sure I would have liked to be a woman in the 2nd century, but maybe a man, maybe a rabbi.
Were your teachers?
I studied for many years. I started studying at the Kibbutz University in Oranim, where I had wonderful teachers, Meir Ayali and others. And then he sent me to Jerusalem, to Meir Ayali, Professor Meir Ayali from Kibbutz Ifat. He sent me to the Hebrew University, where there is a Talmud department that is the best in the world. And I came there, and everyone in class, except for me, had a beard. And I was like a peculiar bird. They didn't know what does this woman, secular woman from Tel Aviv, is doing here. But they were kind, And Professor Zussman, Professor Rosenthal, and other teachers taught me a lot. And with the years, I started feeling more. In the beginning, I was really, I didn't dare to talk or to ask even a question. But slowly I learned Aramaic and I learned the Talmud, and the teachers were very kind, and my fellow students were very kind, and I have many friends. And after a few years, I thought the Talmud is written in a special pedagogy called Bet Midrash, house of study, where you don't hear lectures, but you sit with a partner called Chevruta, from the word Chaver, and you study for many hours in the intimacy of every couple of two study together. And I thought, why? So there was no Bet Midrash for secular women. So I founded, together with an Orthodox partner, the first Bet Midrash, house of study, called Elul, in 89, for men and women, secular and conservative, and everyone until Orthodox. And we started studying together for many hours. I think it was 4 times a week. And so I had different chevrutas. One of them is now a rabbi in Dovi Zinger is an important rabbi in a yeshiva. One of them was a girlfriend of mine. And I think for the first time, Orthodox women came to study, and secular women and men came to study, and we could hear each other, and we could understand how the other side thinks and reads the text. And it was like building a bridge between religious and Orthodox Israeli Jews. And Elul is still existing. It's now 30 years old. And after a few years, I opened another home for Hebrew culture with a Bet Midrash in the center called Alma, because my father used to call us Mia Alma, and because Alma in Aramaic means the world. And in the Talmud they say, Kula Alma agrees, all the world agrees. They mean everyone in the Bet Midrash is the world. And because of Alma Mater, and so I founded Alma in Tel Aviv. And Alma is now 27 years old, and I'm still there.
What does Alma do?
Alma is a center that believes that Judaism is not only a religion, but the Jewish religion is within a big culture, Jewish culture. And after Echad Ha'am and Bialik, we also believe that we should invite the artists, the creators of the culture in Israel today and in the world, the musicians, the writers, the poets, the theater people, the media people, the psychoanalysts, the psychologists, and to invite them, to put them like in Marinada of the classic text, to know the text, to feel independent in reading the text without mediation. We call it barefoot reading. And after a year or a few years of reading, the musicians make music, and the theater people write theater, and the script writers write television series, and the writers or poets write their thing. And then the Israeli culture is rich, is full of, like taking the water from the base, the bottom of the well, and bringing it out to today's culture. So we do that. We have fellows that study 10, 12 hours a week. We have young people, high school children that come to study twice a week. We have many, many activities, evenings for books and music. And now we are soon going to have Tikkun Leil Shavuot. That is the festival of receiving the Torah in Shavuot. And we do a whole night study until the morning with thousands of people. I think this year we are doing it together with the Tel Aviv Public Library, Bet Ariela. And there will be singing a very famous, Rona Kainan, famous singer, will sing at 2 in the morning. But we are making, like you do in Tikkun Leil Shavuot, jewelry of beads, like a bead of Bible, and then one of Mishnah, and one of Talmud, and one of Kabbalah, and one of Hasidut, and one of literature, and poetry, and music, and you make this jewelry for the bride. Knesset Israel is the bride. And in the morning there will be a wedding, a mythical wedding with the groom, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we, all the people of Israel, want to make the bride beautiful. And we make it beautiful with the jewelry of study, a jewelry of insight, of thinking, of beautiful words. And we put it on the bride. And in the morning, if the father and the mother, Kadosh Baruch Hu and Ashchina, Knesset Israel, marry and they are happy together, the whole world is full of bliss, of shefa, of plentiful. So that is, we do a big tikkun al Shavuot, not only in the religious world, but also in the Israeli secular world, in the public space. And today there are tikkunim in schools, in community centers, in the radio, on Galei Tzahal, on television. It's very beautiful. And I think it's going to be taped by, I don't know if it will be streamed live. Sometimes we do Facebook or YouTube streaming live, but sometimes it is not comfortable to feel naturally when you're streaming. And also we take effort to make like a place for the people who are more traditional, more conservative, and they don't want to see electricity or music. So inside the big tikkun, there's always an unplugged room where you can study in a way with no microphone or with nothing, and you have your cheesecake in the way you want it, and so we can all celebrate together, but not everybody has to be the frumest common denominator. And that is an important thing when Jews want to be together and the Orthodox need to have their way. We can have a space where some do it this way and some do it that way, but Kol Israel Chaverim, we are still celebrating together.
What did the ultra-Orthodox think about your Bet Midrash?
We would have to ask them. It depends. The Sephardi ultra-Orthodox are more open, and they are happy that we study Torah. In Israel, the Ashkenazi ultra-Orthodox are more, they are less happy with our work, I think. They feel that the Torah should be learned only in the way that they are used to. And I'm waiting for them to come. But, not everybody needs to do it in the same way. The majority of Jews in the world are secular. The majority of Jews in the world don't feel that the synagogue is their connection necessarily to Judaism. And we need to reach out to people like me that feel very Jewish and love Judaism and love Torah. And once we have Torah and we study, we have a gravitas that can hold us to know who we are, to have our identity, to meet each other, and to form a Judaism that is right for today, for us and for our children, to keep them Jewish. And I feel very fortunate that I found Torah, because I grew up in a home that was beautiful and very Jewish and very learned, but not religious at all. And my parents did not know Torah.
How did it happen?
It's interesting. My father came from a Spanish family, from Turkey and Bulgaria, spoke Ladino. My mother came from Germany, spoke German. They were both secular, but I think they gave me a sense of a Jewish identity that is the most important thing. And then when I was growing up with 11 or 12, I was thirsty. I had a passion to learn more about Judaism. We were 1 year in Australia when I was in high school, and I felt everybody talks to me as a Jew, but I don't know much about it, and I need to learn. And when I came back to Israel, I was looking for a place to learn. But because I'm a woman and I'm secular, most of the places were closed to me. So slowly, like a bird, I was collecting little pieces to make my nest. And finally, I found this place, Oranim, where secular people were studying, and then Jerusalem, and then I opened, together with others, places for people like me that today can easily learn Torah.
Then you were elected. I understand why you were elected. Because you represent you have the ideal of uniting people, and in Israel there is a lot of polarization. People are divided, Ashkenazim, Sephardim, Chilonim, Datiyim, etc. And what was it for you to be a woman in politics?
Actually, Yair Lapid, who founded the Yesh Atid, the party that invited me, he studied at Alma. We studied together. He wrote a book about biblical heroes. He wanted to study, but he didn't want to study in a way that is orthodox. And so we knew each other. And when he went to politics, he asked me if I would join. And in the beginning I said, I'm an educator, I'm not a politician. But then I understood that if we want to have a place in Israeli politics, in the way the country is built, we need to come and sit at the table. Because if you're not at the table, you're on the table and someone else will decide on your life. And so I came in. You're right that it's not easy to be a woman, and it's not easy to be a secular woman doing Jewish culture in the Knesset. But it was fascinating. It's very interesting. It's like learning another language. It's like learning a new world. And I found that the people that on the outside, through the media, you think they are terrible, sometimes they're very nice. And the people that through the media you think they are saints, they are not such saints. And I worked very hard towards the state of Israel accepting us and understanding that we are legitimate, valid Jews, and that we also need to be supported by the state to do our weddings, our funerals, God forbid, our study of Torah together with everyone else. And thank God and the Israeli Knesset, today the non-Orthodox Jews also have a way to study Torah and be supported by the government in more than 50 million. And that's a very big deal. It took 10 years, and many politicians, many people that studied at Alma, not many, a few, went into politics and are working from the inside. And the important thing is not just the support of the government, that is very important, but that the Jews themselves understand that it's important for them, that it is needed. And the secular politicians fight for Jewish education. So I was happy to be there, and I was not sad to come back again to Alma, to Mandel, where I work, to do education again.
And what would you say is your best achievement ever?
My children, of course. The best achievement at work, you mean?
Yes.
I think the fact that today there is a Bet Midrash where women and men and secular and religious can study Torah together, and that this holiday, for example, of Tikul El Shavuot is accepted on the radio and in the school, and that to be a Jew, when you are secular, is today a common thing, and it's important for people. And the public space is full of new songs that are using words from the sources. Idan Reichel and Kobi Oz, and today Shem Tov Levi that studied at Alma is making music to the Song of Songs. Now when they do that, it becomes popular. And my children are singing, not because I tell them, learn the Song of Songs by heart, but because the music is good. Or you watch Shtisel, or you watch Fauda, or you watch television, and through the series, the modern series, you learn things that are taking from the sources. And that makes me very happy that I have a part in that.
What is the moment that changed your life?
That's a good question. I think, our life is full of changes, but the day I started studying Talmud was like I was born again. It was as if I found my my language and my people and the way of thinking that I always felt I'm not academic exactly. I did a PhD, but with a lot of sweat. I found people that I think like them, that they have these intuitions and the maybe Oriental way of thinking that is with associations, and they write fiction, small stories that are just amazing pieces of art, and I found my place within them. So that's another one moment of life changing, but there are a few.
What is your favorite tractate from the Talmud?
So I don't love a specific tractate because a tractate is a collection of so many like beautiful carpets that each of them has within it woven so many different things. So a page, you can jump into a page of any tractate and study it from the middle. It's not, what I love about this way of thinking, it's not linear. It's not built logically like a Western book. There is Mishnah, and we follow the Mishnah. Now I'm reading Makot, which is not exactly the tractate that you would think you would love. But inside Makot, they say, for example, one rabbi says, if I would be sitting in the Sanhedrin, in the big court, I wouldn't kill anyone forever. People that are like murderers, you let murderers or villains go away. So that was such an interesting moment. On one hand, of course, we don't want Jews to kill anyone. On the other hand, but if you're so merciful, sometimes you are cruel. And that little thought in the morning makes you think the whole day. So I like the miniatures. I'm not thinking in big tractates, but in little signs when they say. So when we ask the witness, what did you see? They go into the detail of what hour was it? What day? How was the sunlight? Like to try to find something in favor of the person, even if he's convicted for murder. And that teaches us so much about what it is to be leaders, what it is to be judges, how delicate the human being is, and how we need to, for example, when someone kills by accident and he goes to this city where he can be saved, and he's there until the Kohen Gadol, the chief rabbi, the Kohen Gadol, dies. Until the Kohen Gadol dies. So the mother of the Kohen Gadol is afraid that the murderer will pray for her son to die. So she's making him food, and she's sending him clothes for him not to pray bad things about her son. And that is so, you see what happens to me? It's so gentle. It's so human to think about the mother of Kohen Gadol that is afraid that the murderer will pray for her. So that is why you can't not love the Talmud. That's also, it could be such a movie in Hollywood, right? What an idea. That imagine a Western movie of the city of all the murderers by accident, and they have to live there for years and years until the Kohen Gadol dies. It could be such an amazing television series, right? I'm waiting for the Hollywood producer that will be willing to do the Talmud movie. That's my big dream.
You have girls? What is the most important thing to teach a girl?
I have, Baruch Hashem, 2 girls and a boy. The most important thing to teach a girl, that's a challenge, especially because my father was a Sephardi Jew. And to be a girl, a Sephardi girl, a Spanish origin girl, it's a special thing. It's you love men that are, kings of the family, but you want to be equal. But the men that want to make you equal, you don't like. You like the men that are. So it's a very challenging. You remember your father. He wasn't exactly a feminist, but you want to find a way to find a man that is a man in your eyes, but also sees you as equal. And that is a challenge. We are still living in a world that is not feminist for women. So for my girls, I think what I'm trying to teach them is to be themselves. Whatever is true for them, that's what they should do. And to find a partner that is a good friend and an equal partner, and also someone that you can trust and rely on and have support with. And my son, I teach that he should find a partner or a girl, a woman that could be his equal partner, but also he should rely on her and let her rely on him. And it's easy to say, but it's very difficult to do. Women and men are not exactly the same. And although we sometimes, our soul wants the same things, we are different, and it's still, we've come a long way. My daughter studying medicine, and my other daughter has a career in social work. But the world to raise children and to build a home, it's still a big challenge. And I'm just optimistic because I think the young women have more understanding and power than we had, and their fight is a little easier. The world is a little more fit for them.
From what you saw a little bit of Mexico and the Jewish community, what are your feelings about it?
I fell in love with the Mexican Jewry and the South American, Latino American Jewry. It is very special to see communities that are not the same, not like America. You know, it's like little shops and not supermarket chains of everything the same. It's like pieces of art, like diamonds. And I hope that it will stay, because every Jewish community in a place in the world becomes this very unique, special, like tahara, like what do you call it, lace. And it is very dangerous to, the world that is open now, the children are, and we see everything, and there's a fear, I have a fear, that this delicate lace will disappear, and it will be like McDonald's. Jewish is Jewish is Jewish, and it isn't. Mexican Jewry is the mix of Mexican culture and Jewish culture, and the different communities within the Jewish community, the Syrian and the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi and so on. I hope that these jewels don't disappear, and at the same time that there will be Kol Israel Chaverim and something together, and the love, because we are all one. And if I would be born in a different community, I would become different. And if you would be born like me, you would become like me. It shouldn't be something that separates us. It should be something like with men and women, that you are happy to find someone that is different from you. You don't want to make them you, but you want to be next to them. So it's my first time in Mexico, and I hope I will come again.
Are there Arabs in Alma?
No, there are no Arabs in Alma. We try to teach our fellows Arabic, because Arabic is a sister language to Hebrew, and because we live with Arabs in Israel, but it is a place for people who want to specialize in Hebrew culture, Jewish culture. So until today we did not have an Arab fellow student, but we have an Arab professor.
Would you like to give a message to our community?
I first of all want to say thank you, that you are such warm hosts, and my message is, I see that the Mexican community is much more traditional than what I'm used to in Israel, and I want to say first of all that I respect this closeness that comes out of worry and fear that is real. It's not just because we want to stay close, it's because we want to cherish this jewel. And at the same time, I want to say that please be open to other Jews that want to keep this jewel together with you. It's being closed, you need to make a window. because if God would want to make us all the same, he would make all of us the same. The fact that God made all of us in the same, they say in the Talmud, made us in the same pattern, but each one is different, is part of appreciating God's work in the world. I want to say, first of all, respect the fear. There is fear. We are losing fear of assimilation, fear of losing the authenticity. There, also in Israel, when I see fear, I always try to stop and try to understand why the other person is afraid. Usually there's a very good reason. Once you understand and respect the fear, maybe we can go around it and find solutions that are not necessarily closed, but open together. But no, I have a lot of respect for fear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.